So CNN is reporting on images of detainees being shipped off to their respective countries. Let's hit it.
New images coming into CNN shedding
Why
light
you
on
frowning like that? Like it's hurting his heart.
the speed of President Trump implementing his immigration agenda. The White House has just released these images.
Now, remember they showed the lady crying every time you see a news story. They show the lady crying because she got to the border and her appointment got canceled with the CBP One app, and that's all they showing. They say, "Oh, those are the ones that are going to be hurt," and this is what Donald Trump is doing. He's hurting these people. They're trying to get asylum, and they just can't get in. Well, like I said, you got to blame Joe Biden for that because he should have done what he did a little bit better. I mean, you could have went and got them planes and flew all of them in if it was really that serious, instead of watching the caravan come get them. You feel what I'm saying? But anyway, and then you see the videos of the roundups. All I saw in the videos were grown men, all of them criminals, felons, all of them. I ain't seen no babies being put in the back of an ICE vehicle. I ain't seen no woman being put in the back of an ICE vehicle. Now I'm looking at this plane, and we're still early in the video, so I may be wrong. But all I see are men. You see this? Men in shackles being put on a military plane. Trump is doing what he said he was going to do. He's going after the violent offenders first. But if there's collateral and you are harboring a felon and you get taken in too, well, I mean, hey, like I said before in videos, if you are a U.S. citizen um, and you are harboring a felon or somebody that's wanted for a felon and you don't turn them in, yeah, you can be taken in too. So, hey, y'all don't get no different treatment. You're here, you want to be like us, well, then you got to go through what we go to. Except yours just a little more extreme because you can get shipped on back across the border.
Migrants lined up, handcuffed, and led onto a military aircraft. We should note CNN cannot independently confirm the details because our crews were not there on the ground when these images were being captured. CNN White House correspondent Priscilla Alvarez is here to talk about this. Priscilla, what are we learning about these flights? And we should note, we were just showing this a few moments ago, those images were tweeted out or posted by the White House press secretary. So this is coming from the White House.
That's right. This is part of their show of force after the president signed his executive order declaring a national emergency at the U.S. southern border. Now, if we can bring the photos up again, because I do want to point out what's.
Is he wearing a wig? You see how his head is formed? Like, if you look, you think his head is round about here. So you wonder if he wearing a hairpiece, you know, like how you can tell when these women got wigs on and their hair is like real high in the back. You know, I'm sorry, I got distracted.
The president signed his executive order declaring a national emergency at the U.S. southern border. Now, if we can bring the photos up again, because I do want to point out what's different here. It is the use of military aircraft that marks a difference from the way this was handled before.
Meaning what? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Are you trying to say that's negative?
You see there a line of migrants. They are arrested as they, or rather they are handcuffed as they're boarding the plane. That part of this is actually quite typical when it comes to immigration and customs enforcement and the way that they would board one of their deportation flights. But again, what is notable in this image is of that military aircraft. Now, I am getting some details from a Homeland Security official who tells me that it was about 75 to 80 migrants from Guatemala, and they were bound for Guatemala. We are now getting updates from an organization on the ground in Guatemala that is putting out stills of these arrivals. So this story is quickly developing. But in addition to that, we also know they were recent border crossers. So they were in Border Patrol custody and they were in the El Paso sector. Now, the Pentagon has said that they were sending this military aircraft to El Paso and to San Diego. So we'll see if more of these flights continue. But Jim, just to broaden this out a little bit, the situation at the U.S. southern border is relatively quiet, far more than it was even over the last several months. So about 1,100 to 1,300 people crossing a day versus the 4,000, 6,000 and up that we were seeing in recent years. So this is an effort to really clamp down on the U.S. southern border, even as border crossings where they are right now are lower than they were in recent years.
Interesting. What kind of plane was Biden using to bring a lot of these folks over? they said one of the dudes who they rounded up had a bunch of charges of been to prison for essaying like multiple, and multiple other felons. He was brought over by Biden on one of them planes. So what kind of planes was Biden using to ship them over here? Because if that's a problem, then how come I would just use the planes that he used to ship them over here to ship them on back, right?
All right, Priscilla, stay with me. I want to bring in CNN contributor and New York Times journalist Lulu Garcia Navarro. Lulu, good to see you. Your reaction to seeing these photos from the White House, they say that are military planes deployed for these deportations. And I guess one of the things that we should talk about, shouldn't the White House or the administration be giving some kind of access to independent journalists so we can witness this firsthand as opposed to getting these takeouts from the White
Well,
House?
I won't see it. CNN is a Democratic Shield network. Why are they tripping on this? I'm not really understanding. It's like they're trying to spin a narrative to find something negative about what's going on at the White House. When the White House said, "Look, I'm sending you pictures. Be happy you got that. We ain't got time to be dealing with media. We got work to do. If you hear, you hear. You ain't, you ain't. Here go a picture. Be happy."
I mean, I think press access for this is going to be very important. But I think we also need to really try and get context, understand what is
I think they
happening.
want press access because they're gonna say just in case, they're mistreating they're mistreating these felons, these deleters and essayers and robbers. They may mistreat be inhumane to these folks when these people have been inhumane to people their whole lives.
And what is different than what we are seeing before. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, came out with a statement that said that they had arrested 538 people yesterday. And that is about double what we have seen previously. So indeed, we are now seeing stepped up enforcement. There has been some allegations that they are going into private places and not using warrants. That is illegal. So again, is that different? What are we seeing that is actually different? And that's going to be the thing that's going to tell us if this is actually effective, who they're targeting, and where are they targeting people. One of the concerns about this is that they're really going to be targeting people in blue cities and blue states. That is different than what we saw during the first Trump administration, where they were doing
You know
raids.
why? Because these blue cities and blue states said, we not going to help Trump get any of these people. Matter of fact, we're going to fight it tooth and nail. We're going to risk our own freedoms to help these people. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to come after you first. I mean, it just makes sense, right?
In North Dakota and red states and rural areas. This seems to be targeted in places that are blue states. So what does that tell us? Does that tell us that this is politically motivated, that they're trying to instill fear in immigrant communities in blue areas as opposed to red areas? All of these things, as we're looking at this enforcement operation, we have to really think about what it means and what is the administration actually trying to
Let
achieve.
me ask y'all a question. You ever go on fishing and you ever get to the lake and somebody's already there and you say, man, fish biting? And they're like, nah, ain't nothing over here, but I just heard there was some fish over there, saying under the bridge, right? And then the fork down there. So okay, you go down there, and it's a swarm of them. My point is, if you're looking to get a bunch of people and round them up, if you're looking to go fishing and you want to try to increase your chances of catching some, some large mouth bass, you're gonna go where they're spawning, right? You're gonna go where it's a bunch of them sitting right there, so you can just try to get them out and get on. You ain't gonna go fishing on a bank on the other side of the lake, and it's not that deep, trying to throw your line out, knowing doggone well you ain't gonna catch nothing out there. Come on, y'all. So that's why you would go to the blue cities and blue states, because we know y'all have all of them.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about what took place in Newark, New Jersey in just a few moments. But Lulu, I do want to ask you, the president has ordered the Pentagon to surge 1,500 active military troops to the southern border. We're also seeing these new images of military support away from the border. These are from Camp Pendleton in California. These are from New Mexico, some other images we can show you. And we're now learning that more soldiers are preparing for possible deployment to the border. And so, I mean, Lulu, this is something that, is a bit of a departure from what we've seen in the past, and that this is a very militarized looking deportation operation, mass deportation.
I got a solution.
What do you think?
I mean, this is very unusual. This is not the purview of the United States military. They don't have the training for it. But this is what the Trump administration is doing to try and bolster their capacity to deport people, because they haven't gotten more money from Congress for this. They don't have more ICE agents. And so they're trying to pull in other agencies to get involved in this deportation operation. But this is where I think the Trump administration has to be careful, because recent polling shows that there's overwhelming support for deportation of illegal immigrants, immigrants that are here that don't have documentation. There's overwhelming support for deporting immigrants who have criminal convictions. But there is not overwhelming support for using the U.S. military. 62% of
It's a question I have and I always have. Who are they polling? Because if you come ask me and you say, hey, do you agree they should use the military to deport these felonious criminals? Or do you think they should use like what Spirit Airlines or something? JetBlue? I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm confused. What are you talking about? Because if you ask me, I would be like, hell, I don't care what they use. I don't care what they use. They can use a bullet train. For all I care, they can use a Greyhound bus. I don't care what they use. As long as they get them in, hell, why not use a military plane? Get them over and come back. I mean, CNN.
Americans oppose separating families, something that the administration says that they're going to do. 59% are against using the U.S. military. And so, this is not popular with the American people.
No, nobody likes families being split up. I mean, seriously. I mean, from human to human, you don't want to see that. But it's like they don't. I show hated for them, but they don't have to be split up. They can just all go together.
So they have to be careful.
Yeah, and Priscilla, you were just saying a few moments ago that the numbers are down right now. So, I mean, I guess just to be a skeptic here, couldn't somebody ask the question, well, why not just use ICE resources here? Is the military being used here as part of a shock and awe sort of propaganda campaign?
Well, to Lulu's point, we have to identify what's different. And the U.S. military on the U.S. southern border is not different. There are already 2,200 active duty troops who are helping support the border mission. And now it's more of a numbers game. So
let's see, what's this? 2024, 2023 officials, soldiers planning possible deployment to border. I don't see 2025 anywhere. So in December, October, November, December, I don't see anything going on right now. Y'all ain't got no 2025 numbers, man. What up?
sending more resources down to the U.S. southern border. Our understanding is they don't have law enforcement authority. So what they're doing is a lot of assistance when it comes to operational readiness, augmenting air operations, and doing a lot of behind the scenes work when it comes to assessing intelligence. So we do have to discern that there is truth to the fact that the military was already there to assist Border Patrol because the resources provided by the federal government are strained and over the years have been overwhelmed. But what the Trump administration is doing is putting more of those Pentagon resources there as a show of force, as a show of them clamping down on the southern border. And even if numbers are low, what Trump officials want is for numbers to be zero.
Right. And Lulu, let's play some sound from some migrants who made the journey to the U.S.-Mexico border only to discover it's closed to asylum seekers. Let's listen to that.
There she is. I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing that, like I said, this woman here been on every freaking newscast across the country. Like she's the only one upset. Everybody else probably like, man, forget this. I'm going back home.
¿Qué va a pasar?
Me viene y me pregunta qué va a pasar, qué respuesta le doy yo a mi niño. No tengo ninguna respuesta, porque no sé qué va a pasar con nosotros en la calle.
O sea, con este cierre era la única vía que teníamos una manera de llegar legalmente hacia los Estados Unidos. Y ahora ha sido completamente en vano el sacrificio que hemos hecho para salir de nuestros países. Hemos tenido que atravesar miles de países para llegar, ¿entiendes? Eso ha sido un golpe muy duro.
Yeah, I mean, Lulu, this is a reminder of the human toll of all this.
I mean, that is the central reminder of all of this. There are people who have come to this country, and they did come in the right way. They
Now
actually
you see that you notice that story had nothing to do with those other ones being shipped back out. You understand it? But they try to put together two things that don't match to try to make, let's say, to spin a narrative, propaganda, if you will.
followed the guidance of the previous administration. They waited their turn. They put their information into an app. Many of them have come into this country and were given parole. That is a legal right that is given by the government to be able to live and work here while asylum claims are being processed. And so they did everything the right way, they think, and yet still they are being penalized for it because of the change in this administration. And that is an enormous human toll. These are families, these are children.
All right, Priscilla, Lulu, thank you both very much. Appreciate it. In the meantime, several cities are now seeing President Trump's expanding immigration crackdown, as Lulu was just discussing. ICE announced more than 500 arrests just yesterday, some of them in Newark, New Jersey. A restaurant owner there says about a dozen agents demanded to see documentation of his employees.
A couple of the guys couldn't show their identification. 3 of them got arrested. 26 years in business, I've never seen anything like this.
First time for everything.
Now, Newark's mayor says ICE officers, quote, unlawfully terrorized his city and detained undocumented residents as well as some U.S. citizens. CNN has been unable to independently verify that, but the mayor is expected to speak later on this morning. Joining us now is the former acting director of ICE, John Sandweg. John, I guess what's your take? First of all, I want to ask you about Newark in just a moment, but we were just showing these images coming in from the White House. Of course, we have to remind our viewers these are images provided by the White House of migrants being loaded onto military transport planes. What was your reaction to that when you saw it?
Hold on. I'll let him go ahead.
Jim, look, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the administration has essentially declared a war on immigration, not just at the border, but also in the interior. And by that, I mean through these executive orders, declaring this a foreign invasion, but also harnessing all the resources of the entire U.S. government, not just focusing or relying on the Department of Homeland Security to focus on immigration enforcement here, but pulling on DOD resources.
Well, like I say, well, I don't hear all that. Like I say, trying to spin a narrative to make it seem like this is like something, the boogeyman is out to get everybody. If Biden wouldn't have done what they did, his administration wouldn't have done what they did for the past 4 years, this wouldn't even be going on. You always got to figure out what started this. You see what I'm saying? Because remember they said that President Barack Obama they call him the deported in chief because he deported more people than in the history of the country, even more than Trump did his first term. So now just because it's a Republican, it's Donald Trump, and he's saying what he's saying what you want to say, but afraid to say it, and doing what he can do, doing what he want to do because you can't do it. Now you're trying to spin a narrative like this is like negative, but again, you got to get down to why this is happening in the first place. And let's say it's not the reason why, but you gave him a reason. You see what I'm saying? Let's say he just was going to do it anyway from the jump. Well, Joe Biden made it to where now he's justified in doing what he's doing the way he's doing it because Joe Biden let all them people in. But what I wanted to go back to, what I want to talk about is when the ladies talked about the what does she call it? Like the parole in place thing. I went to this National Immigration Justice Center website. I read that earlier. And it says updated November 11, 2024. On November the 7th, 2024, the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Texas in state of Texas versus Department of Homeland Security issued a final judgment vacating the Keeping Families Together Parole in Place program. As a result, the program has been discontinued and the U.S. government is no longer accepting applications. Please see Keeping Families Together. let's see, for more information, accommodation. So this is one reason why I say people gotta know the law. You know what I'm saying? Raise your children and have them like study law and study taxes. Those two things determine like how you live in this country, like for real. Because if you know the law, because I'm tripping out that it says, Texas versus Department of Homeland Security, it's not a whole country. So the law all works together, right? When it wants to, I guess. It said, yeah, that's what it says. So I clicked on that link, U.S. citizenship. Yeah, effective immediately. USCIS is taking the following steps to comply to court order. Applicants will not be adjudicated. Anyone with a future application, appointment support, should consider that appointment canceled immediately. This is for the parole in place. External engagements on the parole process are canceled. So basically that parole in place is canceled. So she just, like I say, spinning narratives, trying to make it seem like something that it ain't. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Hey, I'm all for it. Military, local, state, law enforcement, doing what they got to do to help, to help the country and the citizens out. I'm all for it. But anyway, like I said, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you nothing but maybe a couple minutes out of your day, but it means the world to us here. If you'd like to support us financially, you can get super thanks, super chat, super stickers, and you can go to the description box where there are links there you can click on, and you can help support us there. And don't forget to hit that shop button. We got products I know that you will not be disappointed in. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.